You know, have you ever really stopped and wondered if your choices are truly your own? Today, we're exploring a pretty mind-bending idea that every single decision you make, every moral judgment, is actually the end result of a chain reaction that literally started with the Big Bang. Yeah, we're going to go on a journey from the scale of the entire cosmos right into your own conscience to see how you might just be a beautiful, intricate, and, well, deterministic product of the universe itself.
So, are you? It's a question that has kept philosophers and scientists up at night for centuries. Are you the captain of your ship, acting with some kind of mysterious free will? Or is every choice you make just the inevitable result of your brain's unbelievably complex machinery? A fascinating series of new research preprints makes a really powerful case for that second option, and we're going to unpack exactly why.
To get our heads around this, we're going to do what I call a cosmic zoom. We'll kick things off with the universe as this one massive system. Then we'll dive into the fundamental engine that actually drives complexity everywhere. From there, we'll see how that exact same engine built your mind, shaped your morality, and ultimately changes what it even means to have control in a determined world. Okay, so let's start with the biggest picture possible. The universe isn't just a random collection of stuff. It's a system made up of other systems. And the really incredible thing is, the very same principles that organize galaxies and stars and entire ecosystems are at play right now inside your head.
Look, this deterministic view didn't just pop out of nowhere. Science has been piecing this story together for a long, long time. Darwin showed us how complexity could happen without some grand designer. Then astrophysicists figured out that the atoms in our bodies were literally forged in the hearts of stars. Talk about a cosmic connection. And now, as these preprints argue, neuroscience is showing us how our minds work on the exact same information processing rules we see in all other complex systems. It's all one continuous story, from stardust to your thoughts.
So the huge takeaway here is this. We've got to stop thinking about consciousness as some kind of ghost in the machine. From this system's point of view, the mind is a totally natural, predictable result of the universe's tendency to build more and more complex things that process information. It's just what matter does when it gets smart enough. Okay, so if the universe builds all these complex systems, how does it do it? Is there a recipe? Well, it turns out there kinda is. It's a 5-step engine that drives the emergence of complexity everywhere, from a single cell to an entire civilization.
Let's break this down. Think of it like a brand new startup. It starts in a chaotic market, right? That's our disequilibrium. This creates all this tension between different strategies. Those are the balancing forces. The startup learns from its wins and its losses through feedback loops. Then, different teams start to click, they work together in new ways, creating synergy. And finally, the company consolidates all these changes into a more stable, successful business that's ready for the next big thing. That right there, that's nature's universal process for building order out of chaos. And the key insight here is that complexity is not an accident. It's a predictable, baked-in result of this constant dance between order and chaos. This 5-step engine means that the existence of things like life and consciousness, well, it's not some 1 in a billion miracle. It's an expectation. So now let's take that universal engine and apply it to the most complex system we know of, the one humming away right between your ears. A new standard model of the mind preprint suggests the way to map this out, and honestly, it's absolutely fascinating. First up, we have what's called mass. This is your mind's raw potential, your intelligence, your creativity, your ability to remember things. You can think of it as the cognitive hardware you were born with. It's the stable foundation of who you are. But hey, a computer with no power is just a fancy paperweight, right? Your mind needs energy to do anything. These are your motivations, your drives, your fears, your hopes, all the forces that push you towards your goals and pull you away from the things you want to avoid. This is what brings your mind to life. And we all know what this feels like, don't we? It's that constant tug of war inside our own heads, those balancing forces from our complexity engine. On one side, you've got your darker impulses, greed, apathy, selfishness. And on the other side, your better angels, kindness, curiosity, a desire for truth. These aren't some cosmic battle of good and evil. They are just the competing drives within your own personal system. But here's the thing. It's not a simple battle. Your mind is an integrated system of feedback loops. It's always learning from your experiences, it's adapting, and it's constantly rewiring itself based on what works and what doesn't. Your personality isn't some fixed thing you're stuck with. It's the result of this incredibly complex, adaptive, and deterministic process. So, if your mind is a system, what on earth does that mean for your sense of right and wrong? This is where things get really, really interesting because these preprints dive into a purely logical, systems-based way of looking at morality.
So, according to the circumstantialism preprint, our really powerful ideas of good and evil aren't connecting us to some cosmic truth. They're basically tools. Think of them like traffic lights. They're simple, functional labels that help us coordinate our behavior in big groups. We don't all just crash into each other. They're not profound truths, they're social hacks. This quote from the preprint just says it all. Moral binaries are functional stabilizers, not metaphysical kinds. In other words, when we call something evil, we're not identifying some dark, magical force in the universe. We're making a practical judgment about how disruptive that thing is to the stability of our social system.
And this just completely flips the script on self-improvement. It's no longer this epic battle between the good you and the evil you. Nope, it's an engineering problem. The goal is to design better habits, better environments, better feedback loops for your own internal system so you can deterministically produce more of the outcomes you actually want in your life. And this brings our whole cosmic journey right back home, to you. If your mind is a deterministic system, and your morality is just a function of that system, what does that mean for your sense of agency? Are you just a puppet on a string? The answer, from this whole perspective, is a huge no. But we have to redefine agency. It's not some magic spark that lets you break the laws of physics. It's a real, learnable, and incredibly powerful skill. It is the acquired capacity of a system, that's you, to understand itself and its environment so well that it can consciously regulate its own behavior. So let's connect all the dots one last time. We've seen how this predictable engine builds complexity all across the cosmos. Your mind is a direct product of that very same engine. Your sense of morality is a functional output of that system. And your real power, your true agency, doesn't come from fighting this deterministic reality. It comes from understanding it so well that you can become the architect of the very system that is you. Which leaves us with one final, and I think really empowering question. If yourself is a system, who's the designer? See, in a deterministic universe, you don't have to be a character in a story someone else wrote for you. You can pick up the pen and become the author.